Hello, Garrett here with Boats.net. Today we're going to be working on a 1969 Johnson 6 horsepower outboard engine. Got this puppy off of Craigslist, and as you can tell, it's a little beat up. So the first thing I'm going to do is check out the water pump. It's a simple part and it'll save you from a burnout engine in the future. So let's get to it. For the parts on this job, luckily Johnson offers a nifty little kit that comes with everything you need to repair the water pump on your outboard engine. You can get that by checking the link in the description below. Or if you have any problems, give us a call at our 1-800 number and our staff would be more than glad to help you direct you to the part that you need. As far as special tools go, don't have too many on this job, but I would highly recommend picking you up some marine grease and some anti-seize lubrication. These two things are worth their weight in gold working on any outboard engine. Now that we have our parts and tools squared away, let's go over here and knock this puppy out. Before we go any further, we're going to make sure that the outboard is in the forward gear position. Now that we've got that done, next up is to remove the 4 10mm bolts that hold the gear housing in place. Next up, we're going to spin the motor to the other side and remove the last 2 remaining bolts. Now, as we're removing this last bolt, we want to make sure that we don't completely remove it because we want to shimmy the lower unit down just a little bit to disconnect the shift shaft. As we remove the last bolt, once you get it closer towards the end of the threads, make sure you have a hand on the lower unit. That way it doesn't just fall completely out in case the shift shaft's not connected properly. Now that we have the lower unit unbolted, let's disconnect the shift shaft. It's held in place by another 10mm bolt, or you can get a flathead screwdriver in there. And we just want to loosen this up. As we loosen it up, we should be able to twist the lower unit just so as we pull down, and boom, we're disconnected. We have the gear case in hand now. Next step, take it over to my stand and inspect the water pump. Now that we have our gear case in our stand, let's do a quick visual inspection to see what we're working with so far. And upon closer inspection, we can obviously tell that it's been broken off inside the gear case. We don't want that, so we'll have to grab our Easy Out kit once we pull the housing off and remove that broken bolt. I want to tread lightly on removing the remaining 3. What I'm going to do is a little trick called shocking the threads. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my screwdriver and a hammer. I'm going to put it on top of the bolt and just tap it with the hammer. That basically shocks the threads inside the housing, and hopefully it'll make it easier for us to remove it. Just like that. To remove our water pump housing, we're going to take this little flathead screwdriver and just gently pry on the housing until it frees. And then we're slowly going to lift it up. Okay, we've got the upper housing removed. Now it's time to inspect the impeller itself. It actually looks like it's in pretty decent shape, although it is very brittle. So we're still going to replace it with the kit that we ordered. Next, we're going to want to remove this bottom plate. Let's remove the woodruff key. You just use a simple pair of needle nose pliers and it pops right out, just like that. Okay, now that we've got the water pump assembly out of the lower unit, let's go ahead and tackle that broken bolt we discovered earlier. We're going to do that by covering up any holes on the water pump housing, and we're going to clean up this area where the broken bolt's at so we can see exactly what we're working with. So I'm just using some contact cleaner. I'm going to clean around the bolt, the broke off bolt, and see what we have. Okay, before we go any further, being that this bolt's broken like it is, I'm going to file down a flat spot on top of the bolt. That way I can start a drill bit on it easier. We have the bolt face flat, squared off. Now we're going to use the center punch and mark our drill point. Okay, for this particular application, I'm using a 5/64 drill bit. Now this may vary depending on the size of your bolt, but in this case, that's what we're using here. So we're going to take our drill bit and we're going to drill down into the bolt. There's our bolt. Before we go any further, we're going to want to clean off any of the metal shavings that may be left behind. That way, we don't get any of that debris down inside the gear case. That's the last thing we want. Now, we'll take our bottom plate and we'll slide it in this orientation right here. If you notice, on the bottom plate, there's actually a lip that sticks up. You'll want that facing directly out towards the ceiling. Up next is our gasket. And we'll go on just like so. You want to make sure that the lip is sticking through the top of the gasket. Next, we want to install our woodruff key. It just pushes straight in. We just want to barely tap it in. The next thing we're going to do is actually put a light coat of grease inside the cup. Take our impeller and we're going to turn clockwise as we push it down, and it'll set in just like that. Now, if you pay attention, you can see the keyway for the impeller as well as the woodruff key in the front. We want these two keyways to line up. All right. Next, we will just spin the shaft until the cup sets inside of that gap on the lower gasket. Now, our upper housing will simply just slide right on. Make sure all of our bolt holes are lined up for the plate and the gasket, and just slide it in place. Okay, before we actually secure the housing in place with our hardware, I'm going to take some anti-seize lubrication and apply it to all 4 of the bolts. That way we don't have any problems next time it's time to service our impeller. Now as you're tightening these bolts down, you don't want to over tighten them, you just want them nice and snug because the housing is plastic, and if you over tighten it, you're definitely going to break something. So just good and snug is all you need. All right, next I'm going to apply a little thin coat of grease to the grommet, and this is for the water pipe. We're going to place it in top of the housing. There's 2 pegs on the side of the grommet, and there's 2 holes in the sides of the housing. We want to line those 2 up. So we'll put it directly on top and just push it straight down. We have the water pump impeller kit in place on the gear case. Before we can continue any further, we're going to need to prep the gear case before we reinstall it to the engine. We're going to do that by putting some marine grease on the top splines of the output shaft, inside the grommet where the water pipe is inserted, and lastly, we're going to make sure that our shift linkage is in the all the way up position. Just do that by taking a pair of needle nose pliers and just gently pull up on the shaft itself, and we're definitely all the way in the top position. Now we're ready to go ahead and install it to the engine. Okay, before the gear case can be inserted, we have to make sure 3 separate points line up perfectly, or else the lower unit will not go in place. The first point is where the output shaft goes into the power head. Our second point is the water pipe. This is what's inserted in top of the water pump assembly. And lastly, our shift shaft. Now, we'll just slide our output shaft in place and make sure we line up with that top hole. You may need to twist it just a little bit. With our output shaft in place, our water pipe inserted into the upper water pump housing, and our shift shaft in the collar, let's go ahead and tighten down the locking bolt. Now we'll push the rest of the way up. Just like that. Before we install our gear case bolts, let's go ahead and put some of that anti-seize on them. That way it's easier to take back apart. Well, okay, that wraps this job up. Wasn't that tough, was it? And it's gonna save you some cash because you didn't have to take it to a dealer. Well, listen, for parts and tools used in this project and more, come check us out at boats.net and we can get you taken care of. If you have any questions or comments, just drop them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Just wanna say thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.